If you're a SaaS founder and you're currently experiencing friction throughout your business from trial and error while trying to scale, this video is going to change the way you run your business this year. My name is Mike AJ King. I'm the proud founder of Sensala, a growth consultancy firm based here in the UK. Now, we specialize in helping SaaS founders scale all the way up to 5 million ARR. Now, we do this building out growth infrastructures that solve every failure scenario before they happen, making scaling inevitable. As promised, I've got some gems to drop in this video, but first I need to be open with you. Okay, you see, if you've been watching the channel over the past few days, you'll see that I dropped the 7-day series outlining some of the biggest issues that SaaS founders face when scaling. By the way, if you haven't checked it out yet, I highly recommend you do. There'll be some links around this video somewhere. I broke down the issues. I broke down how to go about solving them. I even broke down how we've implemented systems in our partners' businesses through building our infrastructures so they can scale without those exact pains. What I didn't mention till now is even with all those mechanisms in place, there's still one big roadblock you face that can get really expensive, maybe more expensive than the rest combined. That's what we're speaking about on this video today. Now, to clarify, we only work with companies that sell a software as a service. So as we go through, if this sounds like something the company could really benefit from, I'm going to make you an offer. I'm going to make you an offer at the end. But I'm excited to share this. Let's just get straight into it. So last video, I spoke briefly about data. Okay, and I thought along those same lines, there's something I've hinted at but not dived into. And that is AI and automation. At this point, you have to presume AI can already do what you do in order to get a competitive edge. Okay, so in your market, it's the market leader, it's you, it's everyone else who wants to be number one, and on top of that, you have AI. And if you know that AI can replicate or automate what you do, leverage it by finding a way to integrate it into your workflows and your systems. And even if it's not an acquisition or fulfillment, okay, whatever problem your SaaS product solves, you have to get proactive at figuring out exactly what it could replicate and either do it better or use AI to do it and focus on building on it and scaling it vertically instead of horizontally, which would be like building out too many new deliverables and figuring out where you can integrate it. Okay, that will likely come after you've built out a mechanism that allows AI to automate what you do. Then it's about creating your moat. But what happens to get to the stage where you can do all of this? To get a competitive edge, you need to be able to acquire unique insights. So this video will be for you if you're spending hundreds and thousands every month doing trial and error with no clear tangible results that give you confidence to scale. It's all relative. Hundreds might be expensive for some companies, thousands might be expensive for some companies. Hopefully it's not the hundreds because you're probably not at this stage. But yeah, you want to shortcut the amount of time it takes to hit your quarterly targets. Okay, you feel you have the most areas of your business dialed in, but something is broken and you can't figure out what it is. You want to collapse the time it takes to figure out what is and isn't working in your industry. Okay. Alright, so the topic of this episode, we're keeping the same trend of the week on how to scale with less friction, and this particular part is something I hadn't gone too deep in yet because I wanted to get the best examples going into it. Okay, and there's something I've definitely learned or started to learn over the last few months, mainly because of how obvious it's becoming in most industries. Okay, and I was tuned into a conversation my mentor was having on this podcast where they were talking about like the metrics and the numbers you need to sustain scale, or to scale and sustain scale. And I think, you know, the main bottleneck is going to come from tracking data, or more so having the data in the first place. Okay, so a lot of founders, when you're getting started, the reason you'll succeed initially is mostly from volume of activities. Okay, so you'll do everything and anything and something ends up working. Okay, and the issue is that's not a scalable process where you can just keep doing more and more, because eventually your time and your team's time is just maxed out, right? Does that make sense? Like, if you want to triple the amount of users you have, are you going to work triple the amount of hours? Yeah, probably not. Okay, so if you don't have the data on what has and hasn't worked, you spend more time working in the business rather than on it. Okay, but what's becoming clear is See, when you're running a business in a competitive industry such as SaaS, you don't have the luxury of hitting pause to figure some things out. Like, the barrier of entry is lower than ever before, so competition is higher than ever before. Okay, the rise of remote working, the global subscription economy, the growth of it, the market's already moving. Okay, have you guys seen what AI is doing now? They're doing no-code software now, even white label. Okay, tons of founders now are building their SaaS on the back of GPT-4, GPT-4o, like the API. Okay, it's replacing entire departments. There are softwares built specifically for departments like HR, for example. AI can now completely replace that. It's so much bigger than just ChatGPT. So you're going to need to be good. You're going to need to be better than you ever thought you had to be this year. And what sparked this episode, I was watching a documentary on Tesco on Netflix. It's called 24 Hours in Tesco. And if you haven't seen it, I recommend it. It's super interesting. But for anyone not in the UK, Tesco is our biggest supermarket here. They have over 4,000 stores, and and they did 60 billion last year, or like the year before, I think. And what happens is, when you're trying to figure out longevity, regardless of the industry, you have to watch the players who have been around over 20, 30 years. And Tesco, they've been around since the early 1900s. Okay, and they're a supermarket, so not a growth consultancy firm, not a SaaS. But when I heard they were dropping a doc, I was like, man, I got to figure out what they're doing behind the scenes. Okay, so one of the biggest reasons they're so profitable is because they realized there was a blind spot in how well they understood their prospects and their ideal customers. So what they did was roll out the Tesco Club Card. Okay, and at the time, they were the first ones to do it, so they got all the benefits of being an early adopter, right? You shop with Tesco, you build up points, and they send you out discount vouchers that you can use on future shops to build that brand retention. Okay, that was then. What it has now become is, if you shop with a club card, okay, you can actually access reduced savings for a lot of items. But what was interesting and what made me really lock in was what happens on the back end and how they monetize it. Okay, so what we're going through today is data. Right, so there's a woman called Kate Hardcastle. She's a retail consultant, okay, and she's one of the consultants analyzing consumer trends for Tesco. Okay, 60% of purchase decisions are made in store. Okay, you can be swayed into buying all kinds of things that weren't on your list. And you know, I imagine if you've ever been to a supermarket or grocery store without a list, you've experienced this. But what that means is there are 40% of purchase opportunities unaccounted for. Okay, the most competitively priced items are for club card holders only. So if you want to get more value at a bargain, you're gonna get a club card. You know, and when they started the club card in 1995, they brought in 5 million users and customers in the first year alone. They were the first grocery retailer in the world to do this. Okay, nowadays we all know how it works. You collect points as you shop, and then you use those points to offset the cost of future shops. Crazy brand loyalty. Okay, now today there are 21 million members, but there are about 68 million people in the UK, so almost a third of the population are club card holders. Right? Because of the scale of the club card scheme, it gives them unparalleled unique insights into their customers. Okay, the same data they've acquired over time that's helped them shape their business, their strategic decisions, their trading decisions, and making sure they've got the right product at the right time, at the right place. And, you know, as an example, because, you know, I don't have access to Tesco consumer data. If I'm Tesco, okay, and I know that every month on the last Friday, i.e. when most people have payday, if I know a certain item sells out of a lot of stores around 5 o'clock, how many different angles do I have now? I can get even more of that item in because it's popular. I can create club card exclusive deals to increase the average order value. I can use all the different data points to push customers to pair this popular product with something else to give them an even better experience. Okay, upselling and cross-selling. I know what else. Like if I know, for example, that a certain geographic area tends to shop online quite a lot because there isn't a store close to them, if it makes sense logistically and financially, maybe I open a Tesco Express store nearby and tap into that 60% of consumer buying habits that I mentioned earlier. And I get them in store to spend even more with us. Guys, are you seeing how crazy this is? Like, even if you're not in store, if you're shopping online, like if I see you're baking a cake based on the ingredients you put in, I might offer you some candles. If I see that you're making a bolognese, I'm gonna offer you a bottle of wine or some garlic bread. You know, I mean, I'm not saying anyone's making millions from, you know, both candles and garlic bread. I mean, someone out there might be, hey, someone's gonna ditch their SaaS and start selling candles and garlic bread. No, but for real, as a consumer, you don't get access to the offer unless you join the club. And once you join the club, you create data points for them to be able to give you a more curated experience and help them serve people sustainably. And, you know, when I saw this, I had to speak about it because if you're on this call, presumably you're not running a supermarket. If so, this probably isn't the call for you. But guys, this is insane. This is insane. Okay, but enough about Tesco. I'm going to show you how you can go about this in your SaaS and how we're doing it with our partners currently to scale without headache. Okay. Now, I already showed you before how one of the mechanisms of the infrastructure is building out a community and a brand for retention. Okay. And the infrastructure has been innovated to figure out what works and what doesn't. I gave you what you need to do, but if you don't have access to the data on how, it's expensive. Okay. When you have the data on what works and what doesn't, you're mitigating a lot of risk because you don't have to test as much. Okay. And if you're watching this on day 7, or if you're watching this on YouTube later, what I'm about to say is going to be open for the next 7 days. Okay, next 7 days only. I've got something sick for you. Okay, I said I was going to make an offer, but first, I want to go through why I dropped the 7-day series in the first place. And why we put together like over half an hour, over 40 minutes worth of content and dropped it for free. Okay, if this is the first episode you're watching, I want to show you this. There's 2 reasons why I dropped the 7-day series and my reasoning behind those reasons. Okay, and the first one is, number 1, the information is free and already out there. Like if you search hard enough for exactly how to do these things, and then obviously trial and error with the right talent, then you can get it done or give it a good try and you'll probably start to scale. Okay, however, not having the right systems in place to handle that scale will cost you. Okay, but all in all, the information is there. So that's the first reason I put together the 7-day series, so I could be a point of information to help SaaS founders scale. The second reason I dropped it is because I know that a lot of you watching this right now won't do it. Okay, I've showed you the constraints. I've broken down every major pain point you'll face that will hurt how you scale. Okay, I've shown you how to solve it and how we solve it, but a lot of you won't do it. The reason most of you won't implement on this is because this is hard. This is really, really hard to get right. You know, we build our infrastructures that solve every failure scenario. Okay, and then we build layers of mechanisms on top of that to make sure your business can sustain that scale. That's a lot of trial and error to go through. Okay, it's a lot of money to go through figuring out what works and what doesn't, which is why a lot of SaaS founders are going to struggle to scale this year. But the game is already moving forward at a crazy pace, largely driven by AI, of course. There's a bigger game being played right in front of your eyes. Okay, so this episode was about data, and the reason I'm making an offer on this call is because when we build out growth infrastructures that solve every scaling problem, we build them out using the data and the unique insights we have into businesses pacing towards 5 million ARR. Okay? Who wants to know the data from the systems of a SaaS company spending 50k a month for marketing? Okay, who wants to know what the operational structure looks like for a company doing 3 million a year? Okay, so now what I'm looking for is more partners. Okay, I'm looking for the next partners, right? Providing it's a good fit, the next partners that we can take, build and release an infrastructure and scale up so that we can access more data on what works in different industries. You know, eventually I want to have so many data points on what works that we can just build out an AI that will start and scale SaaS companies using that. And I'll just partner in those ventures with our current partners for even more deal flow. So as a minimum, when we build out an infrastructure, we do this. Okay, if you want us to dial in, build out and refine the following models: your product market fit model, your attention mechanism, owning the attention, your conversion mechanism, your fulfillment, your retention, your ascension mechanism, all the systems, all the operation models, and all the talent acquisition needed to scale within the first 4 weeks. There are, of course, other layers you get on top of this, like AI dialers. Okay, so if you're on this call or you're watching this for the next 7 days, this is really important. Only for the next 7 days. Once this goes live, we're going to open up extra slots in our calendar. Okay, but here's what that means. If you're on this call and you book a call within the next 7 days, provided we think it's a good fit and we think this would work in your business, okay, we'll build and release a growth structure in your business that will solve every scaling issue for 12K. Okay, but really important, this is not going to be for everyone. Okay, you have to already have proof of concept. Okay, so you need to have already validated your software and have users. Okay, now the reason this is really important right here, if you're watching this after the next 7 days, that price is going up to between 15 to 20K, depending on how complex the infrastructure is. As you can imagine, there's a lot that goes into these infrastructures. They're built and released in the first 4 weeks, so super time intensive. Okay, currently we can only onboard 4 new partners per month. So if you're watching this in a week, we may have already onboarded those 4. Okay, so it's worth getting on a call with one of our growth specialists to see if your business could even benefit from this, because after 7 days, I'm going to drive a lot of traffic to this video and the calendar will fill up. Okay, so if you're on this call or you're watching this within the first 14 days, so that's effectively 2 weeks, you've got early access. Okay, and yeah, the link is going to be below this video somewhere. I'm personally going to be doing the first few walkthrough calls after this training goes live. Okay, so the link is going to be around this video somewhere. Click the I want to walk through call below button, fill out an application, pick out a time slot on the calendar that works for you, schedule and show up to your implementation call. Okay, only 1 call per user can be scheduled. If you miss it, you won't be able to get another one. Okay, our calendar does fill up, so those slots are prioritized for founders who are ready to take action. But yeah, would be cool to have some more partners that we can learn about your SaaS and help scale it to the moon, you know, and then partner together on some stuff down the line. All our deal flow is going to our partners anyway, so there's some pretty cool stuff happening behind the scenes at the moment. But yeah, you know, click the link below, put up the calendar, and let's see if this could work for you. Okay, and you're about to see exactly how now. Now, in terms of our side, here's what we don't do. We don't tell you we'll book you 50 new appointments in a week, 400 new clients in a month. We don't work on an agency client basis where you pay us month to month to make anything work. We don't even make our clients wait 3 months to get any kind of amazing results. You've heard it all before. We've heard it all before. We hear it all the time. The reason why SaaS founders are ready and wanting to spend 15 to 20K with us one time, we took every failure scenario a SaaS founder faces when scaling. We take all the components, all the mechanisms for what's working for the fastest growing SaaS companies, and we use that data and leverage those insights to build our infrastructures that solve every scaling obstacle before they happen. And then we release them into SaaS companies. Okay, the entire infrastructure is built and released in the first 4 weeks. You own the whole thing, and then we work together with the founder and leadership team to get it churning out the right outputs, which makes it incredibly hard not to scale. So, if you'd like to see if something like this could work for your business, I'd like to invite you to jump on a demo call with our team as an opportunity to connect, and we'll be able to go a bit more in depth on how you can solve and implement some new solutions. If that sounds good, click the link below this video and see if there's currently space on our calendar for that call. That's it. See you in the next one. Peace out. Bye-bye.